Hey, what's going on, everyone? This is Mitch. Good Monday evening to you all. I hope you guys are doing awesome out there tonight and had yourselves a wonderful day. And I hope everyone has been having a great start to the week out there so far. Here to bring you the latest information that we do have on Major Hurricane Beryl. It is a high-end Category 4 hurricane. This is the latest information that we have. I stayed up a little extra later for you folks to try to get the latest info per the 8 p.m. National Hurricane Center update, and I made it. For you regular viewers, you know that I go to sleep pretty early, wake up very early, so I'm very close to my bedtime, but I just wanted to get you guys the latest information. I think at one point this was a Category 5 hurricane earlier this afternoon. I think it was at its strongest earlier this afternoon, but as far as the data that we do have, it's at its strongest right now. Okay, I think if these hurricane hunters would have flew out in this thing, early, mid, late afternoon, around the 2 to 4 to 5 p.m. time frame, I think they would have found stronger winds. And I think this hurricane actually is in the beginning stages of doing an eye wall replacement cycle again, but we'll find that out over the next few hours. We're going to give you all the latest information, talk about what's going on with it right now, the latest from the National Hurricane Center. We'll kind of dive deep into that. We'll go over all the latest model guidance and how I'm a little bit more concerned this evening than I was this morning about this recurving north and maybe getting into the Gulf of Mexico. Okay, don't want to alarm anybody, but we're going to give you all the latest information on that. We'll talk about impacts between now and then, as far as my folks here in like Jamaica, the Yucatan Peninsula, Central America, Mexico. We'll talk about everything in this, and then we'll talk about the environment that's supporting such a strong hurricane so early in hurricane season. We're going to continue to pump out a ton of information. I want to say thanks to everybody who's subscribed to the channel. New viewers, welcome. We pump out 1 to 2 videos a day. When it's like this, 2 videos a day, we try to feed you guys all the latest information. So thank you for choosing my channel to get your information from. If you guys have not subscribed, certainly consider doing that. Like the video if you like it. And if anybody has anything that I can pray about or pray over, as always, please put those in the comments below. So obviously this is Hurricane Beryl. Like I said, I think that this was at its strongest that it potentially ever will be earlier this afternoon. But it's around, I might as well say 8:30 p.m. Eastern time. Okay, and the hurricane hunters are in this right now getting the latest information. And I'll show you that here in a second. This literally measured at surface level after they did all the calculations and things like that, about a 1 to 2 miles per hour shy of a Category 5 hurricane, which is 157 mile per hour winds or higher. And remember, they only bump it up in 5 mile per hour increments or higher. Okay, so if it's going to bump up, it has to go from 155 to 160 mile per hour hurricane. It's not going to go to 156 or 157 mile per hour hurricane. So what I'm saying is it's about as high end of a Category 4 hurricane as you can get. It's 155 mile per hour storm. As of right now, the hurricane hunters are going to do a second pass into it here shortly. They might find stronger winds while I'm making this video. It's been tearing my nerves up dropping a video, and then literally 5 or 10 minutes later they will change the intensity of these storms. I'm trying to feed you guys the latest information, but man, this thing has been just historic, defying all odds. It's been a wild hurricane, but it is doing very well. It's healthy. I do think that it potentially is in the beginning stages of doing an eye wall replacement cycle, and we talked about that this morning, and that this will weaken the hurricane. And I don't think it's going to have much time to sort of get back going, because it's heading right towards a belt of shear that's going to weaken this storm gradually, not dramatically, but kind of gradually over the next, I would say, 12 to 24 hours. But it's a very healthy hurricane. You see these colder cloud tops indicating the black and white. This indicates we have some very tall convection. The eye wall is very tall. And this is a very, very healthy hurricane. We're praying for you folks in the Windward Islands. Luckily, this moved in and out fast, but I'm seeing the pictures out of some of the Grenadians. You guys got hit hard. I'm praying for a quick recovery. And, I'm not hearing about the number of deaths or anything like that. Actually, I hadn't heard of any totals. So you guys will have to let me know what you're hearing out there. But this is a close look at Hurricane Beryl. Okay, a wide look at, this is the water vapor loop. Okay, you can see that cleared out eye. All right, I'm going to try a draw on this, see if we got, all right, this is definitely in black, so let's put it in pink. Okay, you see the cleared out eye and the black color that indicates dry and all levels of the atmosphere. So you can see that cleared out eye cyclonic flow spinning around, living its best life here in the Eastern Caribbean. It's moving pretty fast too. This continues to have a pretty nice outflow to it. You see how, these clouds are kind of pushing out like this. They're pushing out like that, like this. I mean, down here. Okay, it continues to have a nice, we've been talking about this nonstop over the last few days, a nice upper wind pattern to it. Very favorable. But what I want you to notice, out ahead of this system, you see this moisture here indicated by probably some clouds and showering activity. You see how it's kind of moving out the southwest to the northeast, kind of going like this way. This, you can actually see the shear based off water vapor loop out here in the central Caribbean that it's going to run into sometime tonight. In fact, some shear might be affecting it right now a little bit. One of the first signs of this is watching to see if this area of the hurricane, some of the convection starts to get ate up, a little dry air starts to get involved, and I think we might see that a little bit more as we're waking up tomorrow morning. Okay, but this is still a very healthy hurricane. It's cocooned in a nice moist bubble. I mean, it's a high-end Category 4 hurricane. Why wouldn't it be? If it wasn't cocooned in a nice area of moist air, then it would be much weaker than what it is. But I mean, this is, it's a wider hurricane now. The reason it's a wider hurricane is because it underwent that eye wall replacement cycle this morning, which collapsed. Okay, it collapsed that inner eye wall, and it made the outer eye wall the inner eye wall, and that actually helps to expand these hurricanes. So it's a much larger hurricane. I wouldn't say much larger, but it's a larger hurricane than it was, say, 12, 24 hours ago. Okay, so it's a very healthy hurricane. Now, the latest from the National Hurricane Center, all right, literally dropped about 20, 25 minutes ago. They went through a pass-through. This is just shy, okay, just shy of a Category 5 hurricane. It's a 938 millibar hurricane. They're about to do another pass. It's moving pretty quick, west-northwest, just like we thought it would. So it's starting to move a little bit north now, but still more so west at about 21 miles per hour, 18 knots. Okay, 155 mile per hour hurricane. All right, this was the latest pass it did. Okay, it's about to pass through again, so we're going to have to try to go back to this here in a second, because you already know, watch it, find higher winds, and this thing's going to upgrade to a Category 5 hurricane in the middle of us doing this video, but it might not. They're going to need real evidence, real data that this supports it, and it literally, once you kind of calculate the winds down from flight level, it literally equaled to about 156.5 mile per hour winds at surface level. I think it was 171 knots at flight level in the first pass. They kind of knock it down further when they're trying to measure surface winds, and it literally knocked down to about 156 miles per hour, which is 1 mile per hour shy of the Category 5 criteria, which is 157. Pretty wild stuff. So they're about to do another fly through, guys. It's literally about to go through, about to see what's going on and what's up with basically this southeast quadrant of this hurricane. But this is the latest information that we have. Okay, it's 155 mile per hour Category 5, Category 4 hurricane. Okay, don't let me say 5 because technically it isn't. Don't want anybody upset with me. Tucked into the Eastern Caribbean. Expected to be a 150 mile per hour storm tonight, 2 a.m. here in the next few hours. Look how fast it races from here, 2 a.m. tonight, all the way to here, 2 p.m. tomorrow. 12 hours covers a lot of ocean. Okay, 145 mile per hour Category 4 hurricane still. In fact, it's still going to be so strong south of Hispaniola. They got tropical storm warnings up for the southern coastline now of Hispaniola, the Dominican Republic, and Haiti, which was tropical storm watches. Okay, it's going to encounter that shear. It starts to weaken at a pretty steady pace. Okay, it's a Category 3 major hurricane, 125 mile per hour storm. Okay, this is 2 a.m. Wednesday. This is 2 p.m. Wednesday. 110 mile per hour Category 2 hurricane at this point. I mean, it's almost, at this point, still a major hurricane by the time it gets to Jamaica. And it could be. It very well could be, guys. Okay? In fact, hurricane warnings are up now for Jamaica. Okay, you got hurricane warnings, in the red. Okay, that's hurricane warnings. I'm very worried about the southern coastline, the southern sections of Jamaica. I know I got a lot of people tuning in from that area. I am worried about this. I believe the southern area is a more higher populated area than the northern area. Okay, I am concerned about you folks now because this is so strong. It's remained so strong. One thing to note for my friends here in Jamaica, the longer this stays at such a strong storm, the further north this is going to try to kind of move. So that's why you still want to watch in Hispaniola, because if this remains a high-end Category 4 hurricane by the time we're waking up tomorrow morning, I bet you that this is going to go a little bit north of guidance, which means it's going to get closer to the southern coastline of Hispaniola, and you could threaten a bullseye landfall into Jamaica. Cayman Islands, you still need to watch out. You are still in the cone, especially the southern Cayman Islands. You got a Category 2 hurricane based off the National Hurricane Center forecast just south of you guys Wednesday night. Drops to a Category 1 hurricane now. Okay. I think this cone has an opportunity to shift north by the time we wake up tomorrow morning and do another forecast, guys. And I'm about to talk to you about why here in a second. But for my friends here in the Yucatan Peninsula, Belize, okay, this could tick south. This could tick more north. And Cancun could start to get in the mix here a little bit more. But it's forecast Thursday afternoon. You guys should start to see these impacts Thursday evening into the Yucatan Peninsula, and then obviously areas of maybe Guatemala, Belize especially. You need to watch out. Okay, and then what is it going to do once it gets into the Bay of Campeche? That's a big question. Okay, so latest information that we have, and let's update this again just to make sure we don't have any changes. This is the traditional look from the National Hurricane Center. 155 mile per hour hurricane moving west-northwest at 21 miles per hour. Okay, hurricane warnings up in Jamaica, tropical storm warnings up for the southern coastline of Hispaniola. We're going to start to get probably some hurricane warnings, hurricane watches up for the Cayman Islands, and then probably some hurricane watches up for the Yucatan Peninsula, Belize, sometime probably over the next 24 hours. Okay, we got to watch to see how much further north this cone ticks. And I know I keep reiterating that. I'm going to tell you why here literally in the next panel. But this is the latest look. Let's go. We're going to do this. We're going to keep going back to the recon. I want to see if we can catch it. Okay? All right, no new update. We'll kind of revisit that here in a second. Okay? I know the back and forth might be irritating people, but I just really want to catch this if it does upgrade. Because they did that earlier today. They bumped it up, and then they bumped it up 10 minutes later. That's why there was so many posts in the community tab on my YouTube this morning and this afternoon. We're going off the GFS. Don't pay too much attention to the actual strength on the GFS. Like right now, it's saying it's only a 969 millibar low pressure hurricane. It's in fact about a 938, significantly stronger than what the GFS is showing. So we're not looking at the GFS so much with the strength of the storm. We're looking at the GFS so much of the path of this storm, okay? So we get into Tuesday morning. There it is. Still chugging away at west-northwest. All right, we start to get into Tuesday evening, okay? Just as south of Hispaniola. How strong is this hurricane going to be? I don't know, guys. It could be still be a Category 4. It could be as low end as maybe a Category 2. But they're going for about a Category 3 right here tomorrow evening, just south of Hispaniola. How close does it get to the southern shoreline? Then the GFS takes a substantially weaker storm, but it's a little bit further north of the cone. Okay, this is Wednesday, like midday. Wednesday afternoon, Jamaica. You got a low pressure heading right into the southern coastline of Jamaica. Is it going to be a 989 millibar storm? That would be a Category 1 hurricane, I would say. Or is it going to be stronger? Is it going to be weaker? We got to figure that one out. I think there's going to be a lot of tweaks over the next couple of days, guys. Jamaica, you got another good day to really get some things together. Okay? You got all day tomorrow. But this hits Jamaica. I think this begins to slow down somewhat. Okay, we know Jamaica has the higher terrain, higher elevations. It's going to cause a lot of flooding. Okay, now what happens once this gets into the Western Caribbean? I think the shear lets up. I think this will have a chance to re-strengthen. Latest GFS still weakens this though, goes over the Yucatan Peninsula, and then pretty much dissipates it. Okay, so it does get into the Gulf of Mexico. In fact, gets all the way to Texas and brings tropical moisture next Monday. Okay, let's see if we have the latest Euro, because it was acting up earlier, and it's still acting up. So we're going to have to look at this latest European model. Okay, let's see if we have the 18Z. We might. We do. How far does it go out? All right, goes out pretty far. All right, so we're going to start this for tomorrow morning. We don't have the traditional precipitation map like we do on the GFS from Tropical Tidbits. European initializing this a lot better, but still weaker. I'm sorry, still a weaker storm than what's actually going to be the case probably tomorrow morning. Initializing this as a 965 millibar hurricane tomorrow morning. Here it comes. It keeps it a good bit stronger than the GFS just south of Hispaniola, 971 millibar hurricane, but just focus on the track. Wednesday morning, it gets awfully close. Kind of late tomorrow night and Wednesday morning, awfully close to Haiti. Okay? And this thing is moving actually to the northern coastline of Jamaica. The 18Z Euro is now getting this almost between Cuba and Jamaica. Okay, right here. For example, you compare this L, let's see what the 12Z look like. Okay, it's a little bit further south. You see it came a little bit further north now, just a tick. But if you notice that little difference there, this bullseyes Jamaica, hits Jamaica all out. And then this thing almost wants to almost tick a little bit south, like west-southwest almost. But it cruises mostly west, kind of maintains strength. Okay, then it makes a landfall. It looks like it goes on to make a landfall in the Yucatan Peninsula as a 997 millibar low pressure. Now, if you go back and look at the 12Z, it's a little bit further south, but about the same strength. Makes that landfall, gets into the Bay of Campeche, and just kind of chills there for a while as we are getting into like this weekend, and eventually just makes a landfall into the Atlantic side of Mexico. Okay? But then you look at stuff like the ICON model. And this is the worrisome model. And we're just going to fast forward this. The ICON model, about the same strength just south of Hispaniola, makes landfall as an all-out hurricane in Jamaica Wednesday. Timing's always been the same in Jamaica. It hasn't moved much. But watch what the ICON does. And, the ICON isn't, it's a German model, and nothing against the Germans. But it's not just like the Canadian model. Nothing against the Canadians. Both these models aren't known to be great models for the tropics, but it's still model guidance. But the ICON model almost splits the gap between the Yucatan Peninsula and Cuba, but gets this into the southern Gulf of Mexico. Okay? Maintains strength as a Category 1 hurricane, and then proceeds to try to strengthen this, getting into the central and western Gulf of Mexico sometime this coming Saturday. That's a scenario you do not want to see. Okay? At all. And if you look at the European ensemble guidance, guys, at this, all right? A lot of members hit Jamaica. A lot more members. And remember, the European ensemble makes up 51 members. Some members go right into Jamaica. A lot of members go south of Jamaica. Okay? Some members go into the Cayman Islands, but most of them go south. Okay? We're not really talking about the signal behind this anymore. We're just focusing in on Beryl. But, Debbie does have a chance to form behind Beryl. Still. Very low, much lower chance, but still a chance. Okay? But a lot of this tucks into the Western Caribbean. I mean, it almost looks like this storm, once it gets past Jamaica, almost, like I said, moves west-southwest a little bit, as a ridge is really built on top of the southern tier of the country and really bogs this system down. But then a weakness opens up in the central U.S., a trough. And this hurricane or tropical storm or low pressure sniffs this weakness out, and you see all those L's that then begin to move north. It's not that much at first. Most of them hit the Yucatan Peninsula or either Belize, okay? A lot of these members get into the Bay of Campeche, but look how some of these members really slow down. And as we are starting to get into this Sunday, look at those strong members in the western Gulf of Mexico. I mean, I would say that's 30 to 40%. I would say that's about 30% of the members doing the recurve. And we have quite a few strong members making landfall as a pretty strong hurricane, into Louisiana and Texas. But most of them stay down here. I just want to reiterate that. Don't want to spook anybody for no reason. But I want to keep you guys aware. This is the GFS ensembles, okay? This makes up 21 members. A lot of these members hit Jamaica. Some of them even go north now in Jamaica. A lot of them go south. There's a lot of them that go right over Jamaica, and then here it comes into the Yucatan Peninsula. Some of them splitting the gap here. Most of them hitting the Yucatan Peninsula, but then look at all these that begin to recurve right in here. I mean, look at all these. That is a lot of them recurving right into Texas and Louisiana. Okay? I mean, I would say that the spread is widening in this area. It's much more broad than it was. So that's something we need to pay attention to. It really is. I'm a little concerned about that, but we're watching it, okay? And sure enough, if you look at this a different way, okay, this is the European Ensemble Guidance. That black line is the mean, okay? All right, if you look at this, this is the current run. But if you look at the run from last night, watch how this line, especially right here, shifts, okay? You see how it shifts south? Okay, see how all of it kind of shifts south? Okay, but this is the current run. Okay, current run. See how it bumps up north? So we got to watch that, guys. We really do. Now, let's go back and look at the recon mission here. See what we got. Okay. Yeah, it looks like it's about the same. They're not getting as intense winds as they got about 45 minutes ago in the northeast quadrant, which looks to be the strongest portion of the hurricane. So it looks like they got it right. 155 mile per hour hurricane right now. Like I said, I do think that was a Category 5 hurricane earlier. But we'll go back to this. Okay. Let's talk about some of the short-range model guides. I think the HMON model and the HFB model has been two of the best hurricane models with this. So we're going to initialize this for tomorrow morning, saying it's going to be a 940 millibar still major Category 4 hurricane, if this is correct. This is still out in the Eastern Caribbean. Here's the southern shoreline of Hispaniola, the Dominican Republic, and Haiti. All right, looks like you get some outer bands up here, but this could inch a little bit closer. But this, on this particular model, looks like a very compact hurricane again. Still a 955 millibar storm, guys, and the latest, this is literally the 18Z HFB model run. Okay, here comes Jamaica now. Look at those nasty banding features making its way into Jamaica. I think that this is going to push a lot of rain, a lot of water up against these higher elevations of Jamaica. And I think you could get a minimum several inches of rain. Flooding is going to be a big issue. But you have the thing that looks weird with this, I would say, though, is you don't have much weakening with this. I think you're going to get much more weakening with this system than what the HFB model is showing. There's going to be shear in this area. But if it does not weaken, and guys, I'm not putting anything off the table. Wednesday, you are going to have still a Category 3 to Category 4 hurricane just south of Jamaica, with the outer to maybe even inner eye wall slamming the southern shorelines of Jamaica with over 100 mile per hour winds. Okay? If it's still this strong. Okay? And then it continues. You're going to get some outer bands in the Cayman Islands. It wants to weaken in the Western Caribbean, but then begin to re-strengthen right before landfall. Belize down here. This hits the Yucatan Peninsula. Moves in, weakens obviously over land, and then it's going to try to strengthen again in the Bay of Campeche, and looks like it's really strengthening again and heading right towards the Mexico coastline. Okay? Now, I'm not going to go over every single hurricane model, but, you know, that's just one that's been pretty good with this system. Now, we look at winds here. You know, this area in green and yellow, that's tropical storm force winds. Once you get into these purples and pinks, I mean, that's like over 100 to 110 mile per hour winds. Okay, like 100, as much as 120, 130 knot winds. Okay, Category 3, Category 4, force winds here. There's the southern shoreline, Hispaniola. I mean, on this model, you barely even get tropical storm force gust winds here, but you will in some of those outer bands, no doubt about it. Okay, and then this is the worrisome. You see how you got in the purple here, 75 to 80 to 90 knot winds. I mean, almost over 100 mile per hour winds on the northern side of this low. This is the way it happens. And on average, this is the way the models want to go. They want to really hit the southern shoreline of Jamaica. But this could make a landfall of Jamaica. Then the entire southern coastline, which is highly populated, I believe that's the higher populated side. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong in Jamaica. I might be wrong. What's it, Kingsport? You guys are going to get hit very hard if something like this occurs. And then, sure enough, watch out, tropical storm force gusts, wind conditions in the Cayman Islands right into here. And then here it comes, making a landfall. It's a major hurricane in the Yucatan Peninsula, if this is correct. Okay? So, this is predicted hurricane force wind gusts between now and, between now and July 6th. So it's starting to bump up, guys, and let's see if we have some new information, and we might Yep, it's the latest information. So you're now, southern shoreline Jamaica now starting to get up to a 30 to 40, as high as a 50% chance of hurricane force wind gusts. Okay, 1 minute average of 74 miles per hour or higher. Okay, so it's starting to increase for you guys. And you're starting to inch into this into the Yucatan Peninsula too. So you're starting to get in those colors where it's showing hurricane force wind conditions here. Okay, rainfall, let's see if we have an update from this. I wish they would update this because this is initializing from this morning. But I do like the idea right here in the western side of Jamaica, eastern side of Jamaica, I'm sorry. It's going for, 6 to 8 inches of rain, 150 to 200 millimeters of rain. I think that this will increase. I think that some areas will end up getting over maybe as much as, 8 to 10 inches of rain in these areas. I think rainfall is going to be an issue, especially if this slows down like some of the models are showing. Okay. Let's go back to this, see if we have any updated information. Let's go back to the recon, let's see if what we got going on here. Nothing new. I know I keep doing that. I just want to see if we catch anything here. So we're going to talk about the environmental background. This is right now. Okay, we're just going to look at one of these hurricane models. All right, once again, this has an excellent upper wind pattern going with it. You see how the streamlines right here, and these are winds in the upper levels of the atmosphere, like 35, 40,000 feet up in the air. You see how these arrows are kind of dispersing outward. Excellent outflow, breathing well, upper wind pattern is very well. We showed you it earlier when we were looking at satellite, and it's doing well right now. Okay, right at this moment. Okay, that's why this is such a strong and healthy hurricane. But as we continue to move forward here, in the upper levels, I would argue that it's still somewhat supportive. But if you do notice right in here, now let's move this a little bit further. If you do notice right in here, this is for tomorrow afternoon. Okay, you see how the streamlines are kind of going like this, and they kind of dramatically go like that. You're starting to get a little bit of some sort of tut interaction right into here. Okay, we call it a wave breaker, and just unfavorable trade winds, which is typically a thing all across the Caribbean this time of the year, especially the central and especially the eastern Caribbean. So this is going to encounter some shear, but mainly in the mid-levels. And I can show you that better here, with the actual graphic of shear in place. And as we're moving forward here, we're getting into tomorrow afternoon, and you see how those streamlines right into here. Let's go to black. Are going more so like right into here, and you can see it right in here. See how it's got pushing from the southwest. This system at this point is dealing with some nasty southwesterly shear, 25 the 30 knots of westerly shear. Okay, this is going to eat away the convection probably on the west side of this system. Okay, just blasting through. That mixed with the fact that this can interact with a little bit of land. And what's wild is you look at these arrows here, and then you compare them with the upper wind pattern right here, and there's a little bit of a difference. But I definitely think this is going to encounter some sort of shear right into here. No doubt about it. And you can see it here. Very compact, moist bubble right here in the Eastern Caribbean with this hurricane. But as it gets right into here, if you notice, and it's going to be hard to tell. But if you notice right in here, some of that green starts to fade away to just white, even some splotches of brown into here. Okay? The moist side of this storm right here, or the western side of the storm, the moist air gets ate away by a little bit of dry air because shear basically erodes some of the convection. So I think that this is not necessarily going to become lopsided, but I definitely think the western side of this system might be impacted by this. Okay, maybe more so the southwesternly side of this system. Okay, this is going to make this system weaken, and I don't think it's going to be is beautiful looking on, and I hate to use the word beautiful, but if you just look at the radar right now and the satellite, it is a very well put together hurricane. And sometimes it's just, a guy that's passionate about weather, you just got to look at it and say, wow, that is a very healthy looking hurricane. And I just don't think it's going to look as healthy on a satellite tomorrow evening as it does right now. I still think it'll be a very healthy hurricane, but not near as healthy as what it is right now. Okay, so we continue to move forward. A lot of people are wondering, right? They're all wondering why. Well, not everybody, but I think the bigger question people are wondering is, what is the chances of this thing doing this? Okay, a lot of people in the U.S. are wondering, what is the chances of it doing that? Okay, there's probably even some people in Alabama wondering, hey, can it affect us? Can it hit Florida? What is the chances here? Well, I think the chance is lower significantly the further east you get in the southeast. If I'm in Texas, Louisiana, even Mississippi, I would definitely pay attention to this. I would pay attention to it anywhere along the Gulf Coast line, but especially those states. So what you're seeing here is, this is showing basically ridging. Okay, the red areas indicate ridging in the atmosphere at 500 millibars. Okay, so this thing is basically anchored, under the North Atlantic Ridge, the Bermuda High. All right, so if you look at these lines here, basically this is following the currents of this ridge. So ridging is going like this. This is some stronger ridging over here. So this is kind of going like this over that. But if you notice some orange and white up here, this is a weakness between this stronger area of ridge over here and this much stronger area of ridge right here. That is why, if you take all that off, that is why if you go back and look at radar, see if it'll come in. Come on. That's why this thing is kind of trying to move west. Well, it is. It's moving west-northwest. Okay, see how it's kind of moving a little bit north to it now? Okay? It's sniffing out this weakness right into here between this stronger ridging over the Atlantic and this stronger ridging over areas of the southern tier of the country. Now watch what happens here. That weakness heads on out with that trough, okay? Then you start to see the darker reds, the burgundy colors build over the southern tier of the country in the southeast. Okay, so that is going to make this system, it's going to feel that. It's going to make this system starting to move from more so west-northwest to just due west. So I'm going to put it in motion and I'm going to draw on here. Watch how it goes west-northwest, and then all of a sudden, okay, it feels that weakness right there probably Wednesday into Thursday, and then it starts to move more so kind of east to west. Okay? But if it remains really strong for a longer period of time than forecast, we know, and if you don't, I'm going to tell you, stronger tropical systems always fight to go polar further north than a weaker system. Okay? Poleward. Okay? Than a weaker system. Okay? They're always going to try to fight to go north. All right? So this is no different here. So if it's a very strong system right in here, it's going to try to gain latitude. That's what I'm trying to say. Okay? Struggling with that P word for whatever reason. You guys know I can't talk straight half the time. So it's going to try to gain that latitude. Okay? But how strong is it going to be here in the next 24 hours or 18 hours? If it's still a Category 4 hurricane, this could track further north because it wants to go north. A stronger system wants to gain that latitude. Okay? But either way, that ridge builds in right here. It feels that ridge, and immediately it's going to yank it this way. Okay? And same thing with the steering currents down here. It's going to yank it that way. Okay? Flow around the stronger ridge going like this, maybe wrapping up like this. Okay? And this thing ain't about to hit the brakes and go like this way and go find that weakness. It's not, that doesn't happen. Okay? In most cases. But, it feels that ridge. But what about this? When we start to get into Thursday evening, you start to just see the reds again. Is there some sort of weakness developing? Well, there is. Look up here. You see how you're starting to see that right there? A little bit of a weakness developing over the central U.S. How strong will this trough be? The weakness in this ridge. Will that trough kind of break down the ridge right here? If it breaks it down enough, that will take this system and allow it to move deeper into the Western Caribbean, maybe even the Central Caribbean. Okay? If it doesn't break down fast enough or break down enough, it's just going to head right into Mexico like most model guidance have it doing. Okay? So we just got to watch it. And if we zoom into that scenario, okay, what is this? This is the European ensemble. It shows that scenario where it does turn, find that weakness over the central U.S., and ultimately begin to threaten somewhere across the southern sections of the U.S., Texas, Louisiana, things like that. Poleward. I don't know why I'm struggling with that word this evening. God bless all y'all. Sorry for the late video. I'll talk to you guys soon. Let's go back and look at this one more time, see what we got. And yeah, it found strong winds once again on the northwest quadrant of this storm. So, we got to see what this is going to say, see if there's another update. And there is not. Let me check my phone because people be going crazy on here and see if we got any new information. Sometimes, social media, guys, it updates faster. For example, in the northeast quadrant, it says that this is still strengthening. Downslope supports Category 5. But I think this system is still strengthening. I really do think it is, and I honestly think there's a good chance that I'm going to hop off this video and this is going to be a Category 5 hurricane. So we take a look at satellite, and it's having a hard time coming in. I'm just kind of rambling at this point, guys, but I mean, this is still a very healthy hurricane, guys, and it's just tearing my nerves up how probably going to hop off here and they're going to upgrade this to a Category 5 hurricane. But we'll see what happens. Might not be the case, but we'll see what happens. But it's definitely right now 155 mile per hour hurricane. Either way, guys, it doesn't make a whole lot of difference. The impacts remain the same. I think it's just interesting just because it's July 1st and we're teetering right at the edge of Category 5 hurricane. That's all I got, guys. God bless all y'all. Y'all have a wonderful night. Stay safe out there, and we'll do it again tomorrow morning.